here, we're going to go to the backs of the hands. So if you are wearing any rings like I am, worth taking them off because this can be a little painful. I want to make a nice fist. I want to focus on the 2 front knuckles. Press them into the ground. Opening the hands. Just by opening the fingers first. And then opening the backs of the wrists. Notice how my elbows are turned towards you and are straight. And then I'm going to punch the ground. So I make a fist, again focusing on the 2 front knuckles. And then backs of fingers, backs of hands, close. If my wrists are tight, I don't want to push all the way to the ground because then I'll end up buckling my elbows. Better to keep my elbows straight and let my wrists hover off the ground. Punch. From here, just sitting on your knees, giving everything a bit of a twist and a flick, like you're flicking water drops off your hands. Shake it. Good. Just going to pin my video just to make sure that that's what's going on the record. Good. And from here, you're going to push all the way back. Get your toes nice and flexed. Toes nice and flexed, push back into them, come forward over the hands, push back into the toes, come forward, push back, forward, back, forward, back. Awesome, keep it coming. Nice flexed feet. And then we're just going to push straight up into a down dog and just pedal it out of it. This is very informal. We just want to wiggle it around. Back down to hands and knees when you're ready. From here, I'm going to take a deep breath in, open up my shoulders, push my chest forward. And then I'm going to push the ground away, tuck my ribs in, tuck my hips to my face, that's my breath out. And then I want to breathe in through my nose, push the chest forward. And breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. I want you to keep going with that. And what I want you to imagine is that you're almost pulling against a band around your forearms. So I really want you to turn out and push out into your forearms as you come through and push back. Out into your forearms as you come through and push back. Good, keep it going. You right, Mike? Cool. Nice to have you. Good. Really pushing against that imaginary band around here. Tuck. And now we're going to look for our tailbone and turn our tailbone to look at us, or our hip to look at us, and then other side. Breathe into the center, out to look at the hip. Into the center through the nose, out through the nose to look at the hip. In, out. In, out. Couple more of those. Before you're going to push all the way back to child pose, reaching forward and really pushing your sit bones down onto your heels. Forehead on the ground. So as per usual today, we're going to vary things a little bit. And we won't be too traditional. For those of you who struggle with happy baby, I've got a nice variant for you today. It's going to be fun and much easier. Dragging ourselves up onto our hands. What I want you to do is lift your knees off the ground and push back. And then I want you to drag yourselves forward with your hands. Push back. Drag yourself forward with your hands. Push back. And I want you to start pushing the stretch in the wrist. Push back. Good. We're going to go for 4, 3. Really push the ground away. 2. Think about pulling out on that band. 1. Awesome. Push back to child. This time from your child pose, you're going to start pulling yourself forward. But while you're in your child, what I want you to think about is sucking your abdominals in and rounding your back as much as you can. And as you dig your fingers into the mat, you're going to pull yourself forward, pushing out against that imaginary band on your forearms, and really sucking in your hips. Then open your chest at this end point, and then push back. So, at this point here, I'm going to suck my abs in, turn my hips towards my face, pull through the ground, push the ground away as well, pushing out on the imaginary band around my forearms, and really tucking my hips in. And then I push back. And suck in the abs. You basically want to feel like you're humping your face. Rotate those arms outwards. Push, 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 push. And back. We're going to go 4 more. Suck the abs in, pull, pull, pull. Rotate those arms outwards. Grip the ground and push. Spread the fingers out as you push back. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, tuck those hips, pull it forward, push, push, push. And then in that last moment, you're going to push your chest through without losing your abdominals. And back. Good, keep it coming. I'm just going to check in on some of you guys. Good. Miss Clark, bring your knees slightly together, not so wide on the child. Yep, that's it. Good. Jane, I can see you, but I can't see you. In fact, I know you're hiding from me. Good. On the last one, push back into child. Good. All the way back. Reach. Drawing your hands in under your shoulders. Keep that forehead resting on the floor. Drag yourself up into kneeling. And we're going to bring it into a side lying position. I'm going to get this way so my head's not in the sun. So, I want to create right angles so everything's nice and square. This is one of my favorite little low back openers. Those of you who are clients will be familiar with this. So, can you see that okay? Yeah. Okay. So, if my neck is not very open, I'm going to need a block or a pillow or something, because otherwise this will be too much of a stretch. to have my head down like this. But what I would recommend is if you do have a tight neck like this, that over time you want to try and graduate this pad to smaller and smaller. This is a natural stretch, archetypal stretch for your neck. So this is a necessary position that your body would once have found very easy. From here, and you'll notice I put the block like from my ear back, because when I roll open, my head will still be supported. So from here, I'm going to pull this arm across, or my top arm across my bottom arm, rotate it all the way open, and stick this shoulder to the ground. Now, we can see that with a little bit of hip tightness, this knee has come up. And now what I'm going to do is, as a secondary action, whilst the shoulder is stuck to the ground, I'm going to push this knee back towards you guys. And then I'm going to release everything and bring it back. So, I pull it open. I stick the shoulders to the ground. I keep the shoulders stuck to the ground. I push the knee back. And then I come back again. Open, primary focus shoulders, secondary focus, actively pushing the knee and back. The common misunderstanding here is that you push the knee back and you just let the shoulder go. And actually you want it to be a fight. You're encouraging upper body twist and lower body twist to work against each other. We're going to do 3 more. And 2. And once more. And then we take it to the other side. Understanding the low back is really important. It's very much the middle zone that has to give when everything else is super tight. And you want to understand that the rib cage and the shoulders and the neck are as much contributing to that potentially as the hips are, and the feet. So, and the hands. Like, mobility, as I always say, is global. But understand that this is a nice malleable part, and if there's no give in the rest of you, or if there's tension somewhere, this is probably going to have to allow for that lack of mobility. So, we go back onto our sides. Setting ourselves up, if we used a block under our neck, take note as to whether you still need the block. And then I'm going to roll that shoulder open, push the neck. And bring it back. Roll the shoulder open. I want to try and keep that head on the floor throughout the whole movement. This allows all the muscles in the neck to receive a nice subtle stretch. Of course, in some people's case, it'll be a less subtle stretch. Bring it back. Open. Four more. Three. 2. 1. Excellent. From here, we're going to take it face down. try and dodge some of the sun. Taking it to face down, we're going to do one version of the anatomicals. Still looking at, actually going to do two. Still looking at how the rib cage is part of this back release. So I take my feet nice and wide and note how they're flexed. I don't want to let go of that flexed foot, okay? So even if I bring that knee up, which is what I'm going to do, I still want to keep the foot flexed. So I've gone with my right knee first. It doesn't matter. It's not going to make too much of a difference which one you do first, because this is a nice flossing action. My arms are on a nice narrow diagonal, so that looks sort of about that, not too wide. It's not going to work as well if it's out here. You want it sort of up here. So from here, so I've gone for wide legs, narrowish diagonal hands. I bring my right knee up, and I'm going to bring my left hand to my right hand. So I've banana bent it this way. From here, I'm going to sweep. So right knee up, right hand is going to sweep open over my head like a dancer. So I'm not whipping off a chicken leg, or a chicken wing, and taking it up and over. Nothing else moves, just that hand. And I'm just going to floss back and forth. So that action overhead is more like that, rather than that. Over the head and back. Over the head and back. We're just going to do as many as we think the body likes. You can also hang out there and open if you want. And then bring it back slower. I am trying to get my ribcage to rotate upwards. And bringing that arm down to the ground. Drop that knee straight down. Make sure those feet are nice and wide and flexed. That active foot's important here. I take my left arm back to its diagonal and walk my right arm over to it. Too much weight. And from here, bring that left knee up into my armpit, and I'm going to sweep open and back. Open and back. Open and back. Good, keep it going. Nice. Try not to let that knee move as you sweep. It's very tempting to allow it to open to get a bigger sweep, but actually if you stop that knee from moving, the results into your chest and your armpit are way better. And we bring that down. We're going to take the opportunity to just roll in the direction we were already going and land face up. Just making sure. So, now I go for nice wide feet. My arms go back up on their diagonal. And this is where you can take note, and I can point out a few things, I guess, on myself that aren't particularly great here. So I'm very tight, lat, chest kind of area. So, well, very tight compared to the rest of my body. So as I take my arms over my head, you can see the elbow is lifted up off the ground, not ideal. And the rib cage is also being pulled by that arm up. So these are things to note that I, over time, want to adjust. Is this idea that the rib cage doesn't need to pop up, neither does that arm. That would be ideal for me. So we're just taking note of where your body's at. From here, nice flexed feet. I'm going to take my right leg to my left leg. My left leg to my nose. Flex foot on the left leg. Now what I want to do is I want to extend this leg up without that knee moving. Yeah? And if that means hold on to it and then reset your arms, do that. From here, I'm going to take that flex foot across my body. To bring it back, I'm going to bend the knee, bring it back. Extend it up. Across the body. Bend the knee, bring it back. Extend it up. Across the body. Now note, I can do the splits. My hamstrings are relatively open. And my knee is still bent. I'm looking for a bind here with my knee as close to my nose. If I wanted to straighten my leg, I could, but what's going to happen is I'm going to straighten it and lose that distance. And I really want that knee right into my nose, and then that just to be tight as I open it. Again, you can play with speed here. You don't have to move in and out constantly. You can hold it in a stretch. There's some lovely abdominal rectus, oblique stretching happening in my opposite hip. Excellent. We bend the knee, bring it back, place it on the floor next to the other leg, and reset our star. Nice flex feet for our anatomical men. Arms up, relatively narrow, don't make them out too wide. And I'm going to bring my left foot to my right foot. My right knee right into my nose. Keep those feet flexed and active. Hold on to that knee. If you need to, start to extend up. Get a feel for the right position. And then take it across the body. Bend the knee in and back. Up, across. Very nice. In and back. And across. In and back. For those of you who are going to catch this on YouTube either now or later, I think it's streaming to YouTube now, God knows. There are other people here on Zoom at the moment, so I am keeping an eye on them. If you want to join the Zoom, you need to send me a private message. I am also, because this is designed for people participating at the time that I can keep my eye on, I'm going to jump up and close that blind. It's glaring that sun in my face. So we're going to do a few more here. Bring it back. Cross. Back. Excellent. From here, we bring it back. We're going to go for our first version of this hip lift that I mentioned at the start. So this hip lift is intended as a release for the low back. If your low back is really flared up, you're going to use it merely to activate the different sides of your body and get them thinking separately to each other. Often with low back, not always, but often, we end up with one set of these muscles running down the spine. We end up with one of them seized up and it won't let go. And so you either get one or both working, but you don't get them alternating. And they should alternate as you move and step and walk. So what we're going to try and do is get one to work at a time. And then if we can, we want to kind of shake any that are clamped up loose by dropping the hip to the floor. But if your back is particularly bad, don't go for the drop today. It's going to be too much. Just go for the lift and down, lift and down. So what I do is I bring my feet in nice and close. My knees are together. My feet are together. My shoulders are on the ground. I'm going to flex my feet nice and actively. And then I'm going to drop my knees in one direction. Now, very quickly, I'm just going to drop the other way so you can see what my feet are doing. See how they're stacked and flexed on each other? So now I drop my knees. I'm doing it towards you so you can see. From here, shoulders open, chest open. I'm going to push my hip up. And if I've got a particularly flared back, I'm just going to drop it down. If my back's just a little bitey, as opposed to it's hard for me to get up and down from the ground, I'm going to lift and drop. Lift and drop. Now, on the next lift, I want you to take your hand at the back and just dig into those muscles either side of the spine. And take note, the one on the bottom is nice and fired, and the one on the top is nice and squishy. And that's what we're trying to achieve here, one side working at once. And then I'm going to drop. Up, drop. Feet are still stacked on each other. And I'm trying to push my hips on the diagonal to the room, to the corner of the room. Good, keep going with that. Do 4 more. I'm just going to change that blind. And then when you're ready, bring it back to the center. Make sure those feet are nice and close to your butt and flex. Turn them the other way. Put your arms out, keep your shoulders down on the ground. Lift your hip up on the diagonal and drop. Lift your hip up on the diagonal, drop. Lift up, drop. Remember, if you've got a flared up back, just go up and down. You're still going to get that one side firing and that other side squishy on those erectors. And you'll start to notice where your muscles are working in your hips more on one side or the other. And 3, 2, 1. And we're going to work it back to the center. So that was the first round. Now I promised you happy baby with a twist. And we're all going to do this because it's interesting. So even if you can do happy baby easily, either your double finger like pistol grip, or just grabbing through and grabbing the inside of the foot on this one. So either around the toe, 2 fingers, or inside of the foot, and pull that knee into your armpit. Now I started with both knees bent, and there's a reason for that. I want this other knee that's still on the floor, I want it to drop out. So I've dropped, because that was the one nearest you guys, I've dropped that towards you. Now I'm going to take this other one up, and I'm going to start actively pulling that knee into my armpit as much as I can. I'm going to bend the elbow as well. Now if you can, loosen your butt on the opposite side, so on the leg that's turned out. Let that release and just pull your abs in. Good, and we're just holding. Where's my music now? Good, another 20 seconds here. And bending that knee, bring the foot down and place it on the ground next to the other one. And we're going to bring, for me, my left knee in. I'm I'm going to grab that inside arch of the foot or double fingers around the big toe, whatever works for you. I pull that one in and I'm going to drop that opposite leg away from you guys this time. So the one on the floor turns out and I'm going to pull on that. Really try to stick your hip to the ground as you do this as well. So if the hip starts to roll up, push it down. And then with this arm, really work the bicep to get that knee right, like towards the ground. I actually like to use two arms. I've also found that flexing the foot on the leg that's turned out, like actually keeping it active, gives me a little bit more of an inner thigh adductor stretch. And bringing that knee back in at the bottom, bending this other one in and placing it on the ground. Good. So those of you who have been lucky enough to see me already this week will recognize this one because it's Erin's new favorite. You're going to two stretches. You're going to cross one knee over the other. You're going to, now for this, if you needed a belt or a strap because of mobility, that would be fine. I'm going to use my hands to grab my thigh or my shin. Shins for those who need that extra flex. Now from here, this opposite knee, the one that's crossed over the top, I'm going to either with my hand or actively. And I quite like the active version because it makes your muscles connect. I'm going to push that knee away actively. I'm going to shift my breathing to my nose only. If I tell my body I'm stressed by breathing in a stressed way, there is no way out. So, at the very least, trick it with your breath. Breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. Again, trying to push your hips onto the ground. Oops. I'm going to release the leg and place it on the ground, right in my butt. The sole of this foot that's sticking up, I'm going to turn my hips and put it onto the ground. I'm going to shuffle a little bit. So I'm going to turn and place that on the ground. So I'm there. My shoulders are going to stay open on the ground. And I'm going to actively or passively push at this knee away from me. Again, I quite like using my muscles for this, so that the antagonist learns to work with the agonist and vice versa in the muscles. Now, the other thing I might want to think about is this side that's open, stretching and lengthening. I might want to start lengthening that even more. For me, it feels like I'm trying to pull more of my body to the ground and move my butt away from me. To bring this back up, I'm gonna, so at the moment my right leg is over the top here. I'm gonna press my left foot into the ground and that'll bring me back up to the middle. From here, give this leg a little pull into your body and then straighten it up, give it a little wriggle. You may even wanna like jiggle the thigh a little bit with your hands, shake it loose. Placing that one on the ground, you take the opposite leg up and cross it over the knee. From here, I'm going to grab through and grab either the knee again or the shin, or loop a belt into this to help you. And just a reminder, I'm trying to pull this opposite hip down to the ground if it peels up too much. And I'm going to pull that knee away from me. Or I could passively push it, but I prefer the pull. Now releasing that leg back down to the ground, nice and close to my butt. And I'm going to take that top foot, place it on the floor, keeping my shoulders open. And now pushing that knee away from me or more towards the ceiling. And then trying to sort of pin my ribs back to the ground. Try not to use any muscle during some of these stretches that you don't need. Pushing that bottom foot into the ground to bring yourself up. Extend the leg up, give it a shake. Then we're going to give the knees a hug. Bring our feet back to the ground. And this time, again, we're going to go for that hip drop. So bringing the knees together, feet together. We're going to drop the knees in one direction, shoulders open on the ground. Really flex those feet so that they're still stacked on top of each other. And just for 8, we're going to push the hips up on a diagonal to the corner of the room and drop. Again, if your back is sensitive or too sensitive, you may just want to lift and drop. Lift and drop. So up, drop. For those of you who are in slightly better condition or you sort of nursed your back to quite reasonable health and it's just a little stiff at times, go for the drop. After you've done your 8, bringing your knees back to the middle. Flexing your feet, dropping your knees in the opposite direction. And we go up and down. Up and down. 4, 3, 2. Make sure you're getting that on the diagonal and not just straight up. Last one. Bringing it back to the center. Very nice. From here, if you have, actually we'll do it this way. I'm just thinking about sensitive backs. So flex feet, legs in the air, hands under hips. We're going to come up through the hinge movement. Lift your head, look for your belly button, pull it into your spine. Slowly drop your feet down. Squeeze the backs of your legs together and then push up just before your feet touch the ground. Good. We'll do this way. So, seeing what you can see. So, from here, we're going to do a nice little ballet forward fold. And the reason I'm choosing this one, not that any forward fold wouldn't work for your back, but because it gets you to go through active and passive kind of folding. So for active, you want a very flat back. And you're going to fold, 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 fold. When you get to here, what you want to do, or when you get to that end range where you start to lose your fold with a flat back, you're going to round. Now from here, I want to pop back up into active, and that's where you start to develop your stretch a bit. So I take it down, I roll it, and now from here I'm going to push my chest forward, lift my arms up, and then sit up in one piece. Yeah? So it's flat back, 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 rounded back, flat back, nice and low, lift it up. Yeah? Good. Shoulders are down the back. You want this to be a nice frame around your face. Not a this or a this, but here, shoulders down, chest up, grow tall and long out of the neck. And we fold, 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 round. Give it a nice breath into your back, pop it forward, chest up, sit up. Good. We go 6 more, fold forward. Round. Give a good breath into your back before you pop up. Flat back, up, and forward. Flat back, and up, 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 forward. And flat back, Good. 2. Last one. Flat back and up. Excellent. Taking the hands down. We're going to go for a half saddle. Full saddle if you get nothing from the half, but actually, for those of you who are more bendy, we're going to do the half saddle and I'm going to give you a knee pull in, but if you want to just go full saddle for the whole thing, you're entitled. You probably won't need a block unless you need to level out your hips with one or a pillow. So from here, half saddle, I'm going to set it up from this position. And while I'm in this position, I'd like to point out a couple of things. The ability to sit on my pointed foot like that is going to give rise to how good my lower back is. And also that this is a nice position for me to hang out in to round this back if it doesn't round in child pose. Some people can't get this rounding in child. So this is actually a nice way to get this lengthening here. And there's nothing wrong with sitting like this. Sitting is the antithesis of standing. When you're standing, you're very ramrod straight. When you're sitting on the floor, you don't have to be. It's meant to be, it's the opposite, okay? So from here, what I'm gonna do is work myself back onto that foot. Different feet, different options here. If this is hard on your foot already, this is probably far enough. If it's pulling on your knee and that makes you uncomfortable, this is probably far enough. If it's too much on your knee, you can back it off. For those of you who want to, you can go down further. And here, this is where you start padding with blocks, etc. Now you can see my knee, because my quads are always tight the first time I go into this today, is drifting off the floor. But I'm actually okay with that. My knee drifting off the floor is pretty normal for this position and it doesn't cause me any pain. Now, with that leg up, that doesn't give me a more intense stretch, but for some people it will. So you may wish to drop the leg out. Usually what putting that leg up does is it corrects the alignment of the hips. Now what I can also do to increase this is I can start to pull that opposite knee off the floor and hug it into my chest. My other arm I've used as a guide rope just to keep myself steady, so I'm hugging in with the opposite. Someone has disconnected, one sec. What happened there? I think someone fell off our screen. Ah, there they are. So, just going back into my saddle again. Tick, 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 tick. So here is one option, here's another option, or for that more advanced option here. Again, watching with this saddle pose, there's this real tendency to let that knee drift off. So on my left leg, letting the left knee drift out to the left, not ideal, it changes the stretch. You want to make sure you're still heading towards that center line as you hold here. If at any point you need to adjust that, you can. "30 seconds. Again, watching that breathing, especially if this is a stressful position for you, trick your body. Breathe through your nose. Tell it it's not as stressful as it thinks. To come out of this position, if you're like I am, you can actually just push your hip up and flick your foot out. You can also roll away from the leg that's up, or the other way you can roll as well and usually flick the leg out. Again, you're going to want to bring that leg that was trapped under you up and flick it around. I've ended up on my back, so to come up out of here, I'm going to use the hinge again. Feet together, abs pulled in, looking for my belly button, flexing my feet, slowly, slowly, slowly dropping, and then pushing up off my elbows. So I want to go to the other side. So it's always interesting to test out what the tops of your feet are doing, of course, by sitting on them both to start with. A padding trick for this is to actually roll the towel and put it under this ankle, just in case your ankles aren't open enough, and that will soften it. I would recommend sitting like this at home if your ankles are tight every day, just to get them to start to release. So I'm going to set up the same position on the opposite side. And I'm going to start to walk myself backwards. With this one, it does switch around for me which side is the tighter side, but yes, I do like to start on my tight side. Also, if I'm not squeezing one knee to the midline and the other one I can get a false read, so I want to watch out for that. So from here, working it back into whichever position you like. Ideally matching it to the other side. And then your options are straight leg, which rolls you off this hip a little bit, maybe not so ideal. Bent knee, which is going to push you more into the stretch and square your hips up. Or knee into chest, which just gives it just such a lovely extension through that opposite hip. What I quite like about the half saddle is that for those of us who feel a little bit of compression into the lower back in full saddle, you don't feel it here. So it's quite good to run this one with your full saddle, but run it first. One more minute. And again, in order to come out of this one, I'm either going to turn away and flick the foot out, or turn in and flick the foot out. Either one works. We do want to come onto our backs for our last stretch of the day. I'm going to cross one knee over the other. You don't have to, you can just keep your knees next to each other, but a nice tight cross this one. And I'm going to take that top leg away from myself, and then I'm going to reach the opposite arm in the opposite direction. So in this case, I've turned away from you, and I'm going to reach my arm towards you guys and try to pin my ribcage to the ground. And I really want to breathe into the side body here. So this idea of expanding the ribs where they're at stretch. And as I release the breath, I try to pin them to the ground more. Try not to tense any muscles you don't need. You'll notice I've rested my left hand on top of my right knee just to increase that stretch. And releasing that down, pressing my bottom foot into the ground, bringing those knees back up off the floor and changing them over. And I'm going to take my left knee over towards you guys. And my right arm away. Left hand resting on top of my, right hand resting on top of my left hand. Left knee, left hand reaching away. And again, breathing into that rib cage on the opposite side. And pressing that bottom foot into the ground. Unwrap my legs, either bringing my feet together and allowing my knees to drop out, or just letting my legs and arms flop by my sides out nice and long. We're going to take the time to close our eyes and breathe all the way out. Every last little drop. And then breathe in from the very bottom of the spine and light up the vertebrae on the way to the top of the head. And let that breath float out like a big sigh as you sink into the floor. And breathing all the way in. And let it sigh out. Feel free to stay right where you are. I am going to curl to one side and push myself up into sitting. And say thank you all very much for coming. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line on any of the social media things I have running. You can also message during this, by the way, if you're not aware. There is actually a chat screen. So if you have any questions there, you can always post them there. And you can post them privately to individuals, including myself as well. So thank you very much. The chat screen, by the way, is in Zoom for anyone watching this on YouTube. Bye, Sammy. So thank you all so much. Have a lovely day. Don't get blown to the South Island, those of you who are in Wellington. And those of you who are, I'll catch you next time. Bye.